to Daily Dictation. This week we're looking at the topic online school. This video is here to help you practice your English skills, and it's for high intermediate English speakers. It is really important to get listening and writing skills, and that's what this video is going to help you develop and master. When you are going into a proficiency exam, such as IELTS, PTE, CELPIP, or TOEFL, there are listening components to each exam to show that you are able to listen to English and understand. For these exams, you often only get to listen one time, so you really have to rely on your note-taking skills because you have to take as detailed notes as possible when you do listen one time. This involves having the skill of listening and writing in English at the same time. For this activity, I'm going to read 5 sentences to you, and you are going to write down 5 sentences perfectly, exactly how I say them, by applying the correct spelling, punctuation, capitalization, and grammar. If you do this every day, then it will become natural for you, and you'll really see an improvement, not only in your listening skills, but in your writing skills as well. I've been doing this for years as a teacher, and I have seen dramatic improvements in my own students. So let's talk more about how to practice every day. On this channel, I have new sentences each weekday and new topics each week. There are 2 English levels offered, and there's a vocabulary list and practice worksheets available through the link in the description. For the activity, because it's an interactive activity, you will need a piece of paper and a pencil. It's going to be like you're a student in my class. So piece of paper and a pencil. If you don't have this, and if you have a blank document like Microsoft Word that you can type into, that's okay as well. 5 sentences will be read. Each sentence will be read 3 times and 1 more time at the end. You have to write down each sentence the best that you can, and you will use your listening skills to do this. Again, you have to try your best to apply the correct spelling, punctuation, and capitalization. Okay, so you see here there's numbers 1 to 5. Each of these numbers represent a different sentence that I will read. I'm going to read each sentence 3 times and 1 more time at the end, and we will start with sentence number 1. Number 1. The learning management system supports interactive learning by integrating multimedia resources into each module. The learning management system supports interactive learning by integrating multimedia resources into each module. The learning management system supports interactive learning by integrating multimedia resources into each module. Number 2. To effectively implement a hybrid model, the learning management system must provide interactive learning opportunities through multimedia content. To effectively implement a hybrid model, the learning management system must provide interactive learning opportunities through multimedia content. To effectively implement a hybrid model, the learning management system must provide interactive learning opportunities through multimedia content. Number 3. The learning management system enhances interactive learning by offering multimedia tools and a discussion board. The learning management system enhances interactive learning by offering multimedia tools and a discussion board. The learning management system enhances interactive learning by offering multimedia tools and a discussion board. Number 4. A successful hybrid model requires the learning management system to facilitate synchronous discussions. A successful hybrid model requires the learning management system to facilitate synchronous discussions. A successful hybrid model requires the learning management system to facilitate synchronous discussions. Number 5. A hybrid model allows for both synchronous and asynchronous activities. A hybrid model allows for both synchronous and asynchronous activities. A hybrid model allows for both synchronous and asynchronous activities. Now I will read each sentence one more time, starting with sentence number 1. The learning management system supports interactive learning by integrating multimedia resources into each module. Number 2. To effectively implement a hybrid model, the learning management system must provide interactive learning opportunities through multimedia content. Number 3. The learning management system enhances interactive learning by offering multimedia tools and a discussion board. Number 4. A successful hybrid model requires the learning management system to facilitate synchronous discussions. Number 5. A hybrid model allows for both synchronous and asynchronous activities. Now, let's get ready to check our answers. I'm sure everybody did a wonderful job. If you found that this video or that reading was just a little bit too fast, or you need to listen again, we can listen again. And if it's too fast, you can adjust the playback speed through the settings in the video and choose a slower speed. If you just need to listen to specific sentences again, just check the description for timestamps, and this will help you listen to specific sentence numbers. Now we're going to check our answers. Let's look at the first one. The learning management system supports interactive learning by integrating multimedia resources into each module. So as we've been breaking it down, the learning management system, this is our subject, the whole thing. Even though it's long, it all functions as a subject because learning management system, even though it's 3 words, it's one thing. This is our verb, supports. Because I said this is one thing, it's a noun, and it's a singular noun at that. So our subject is singular. It could be reduced to it if we really wanted it to. So in that case, if we can reduce it to it, then we're going to apply the third person singular rule to our present simple tense because this is our verb. So we're going to have to add an S on the end here. Supports interactive learning. This is our object. And then we have our preposition by. So like we've seen in previous weeks, when we use the word by, we're going to have a verb in the progressive form, ing. Multimedia resources into each module. So that is essentially our sentence here. Let's have a look at number 2. To effectively implement a hybrid model, the learning management system must provide interactive learning opportunities through multimedia content. Okay, so here we have a comma. All right, so this clause and this clause, this is a long one. For these 2 clauses, we can actually make it go in the opposite order. So you can actually start your sentence. The learning management system must provide interactive learning opportunities through multimedia content to effectively implement a hybrid model. We could say that as well. If we say it in this order, we've looked at previous sentences like this, we don't need the comma. But because we're starting with the word to, this shows us that we're starting with kind of a conjunction in a way. So we are going to, it kind of functions like a conjunction in this case. And so because we're starting with it, we are showing ourselves that we need to have a comma after this clause, because this clause, the independent clause, the learning management system must provide interactive learning opportunities through multimedia content, this could stand by itself and it would make perfect sense by itself. This is just providing some extra information, but this one could not stand by itself, so it's dependent. So independent plus dependent, we don't need a comma, but if it's the other way around, we do need a comma. Let's have a look at our sentence number 3. After all of these exercises today, you should be able to perfectly spell learning management system. Lots of practice. Almost every sentence has this. 4 out of 5 sentences have this phrase in it. So really good to know. The learning management system enhances interactive learning by offering multimedia tools and a discussion board. Pretty much the same format as sentence number 1, really. So this is our subject. It is a singular noun, so we can reduce it with the subject pronoun it if we want to, which means that we're going to apply our third person singular rule. So on the verb, if it's in simple present tense, we add an S on it. We don't keep it in its base form exactly. Interactive learning, this is our object again. We have preposition by. So our verb is going to be in the progressive form. Pretty much the same. Number 4, a successful hybrid model requires a learning management system to facilitate synchronous discussions. So this one's quite similar, but not exactly the same as 3 and 1. So let's break it down. A successful hybrid model, that's our subject. Singular, our verb, has third person singular rule, so we add the S on the verb. The learning management system, we know that this is a very long thing, and even though it's long, many words, it's actually all one thing. So this is our object. And then instead of having the verb in the progressive after the word by, we actually have the word to, and we have to facilitate. So we have to plus the base form of the verb. What does that mean? When we have to plus the base form of the verb, in case we forgot, that is what we call an infinitive. To facilitate synchronous discussions, right? So we have the infinitive after the object there instead of having preposition by and the verb in the progressive. So the difference, by doing something, this shows us how something is achieved. And this kind of emphasizes more the outcome, to facilitate, to do this. Let's look at the last one. One of our more simple sentences today. A hybrid model allows for both synchronous and asynchronous activities. So a hybrid model, that is our subject. It is singular. So our verb allows is going to have the third person singular rule. What does it, whenever we actually have the word allow or allows, we usually follow with the preposition for. So get very familiar with this. There are some words that pair together really often. Allows for is one. We call this in English a collocation when two words have really common pairings. The fancy word is collocation in English. And it's really good to know this because if you accidentally pair the wrong words, it just doesn't sound right to an English speaker. So if you're in an IELTS exam, the examiner might be like, that doesn't sound quite right. And it might be a little bit of a hint that you're not very fluent. So you might get a lower band score if you do too many awkward phrases. So keep an eye out and get used to knowing really popular collocations in English. For both, this word both, it's not essential in this sentence, but it emphasizes that there's two things involved, synchronous and asynchronous activities. However, if you don't put both, that makes sense as well. Just doesn't emphasize the two things as much. So that is the grammar. That is some of the things that we're looking at today. Like we've noticed and talked about before, we have some difficulties when spelling sometimes because module and model, they kind of have similar sounds. So you really have to pay attention to the "ule" sound in it because these two things do sound pretty common. Module, model. So this one has a harder D and this one has a more pronounced U in it. Again, another really difficult spelling is synchronous and asynchronous. So like I've mentioned before, you're going to want to split it up. S-Y-N, syn, C-H-R-O-N, cron, O-U-S, us. Now, like I've mentioned before, this is what I do when I sound out words, and I've done it since I was young and I myself was learning my own language here. And so when I'm spelling things out, I use the phonetic sounds and it helps me remember the order of the letters. So if you want to do this as well, you totally can, as long as you're not actually pronouncing the word this way. So for example, synchronous, the CH has a K sound typically, but the phonetic sound is ch. So if I say sign, tron, aus, that helps me remember all of the little letters in the order. So if you find that this helps you, you can do that. If you find that it's confusing, ignore this. Okay, so we can see here there's a lot of bold words. These are the words that we are focusing for dictation this week. So these are the words that we're going to be seeing in our dictation sentences. Interactive learning, hybrid model, learning management system, multimedia, discussion board, synchronous, asynchronous, module. So these are the ones that we want to be very, very comfortable with, very, very confident with. Besides that, we are all finished for today. Keep on studying, keep on trying your best, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.